5, Sefer HaMitzvos, and today we're going to cover 5 mitzvahs, 1 positive commandment and 4 negative commandments, positive 232, negative 258, 259, 257, and 260. Obviously we're not going in order of the numbering, but in order of how they fit in along with the work of Mishnah Torah, which is being read alongside. So, first of all is a mitzvah that the positive mitzvah 232. It says in Exodus 21 verse 2, if you acquire a bondsman. So someone who's Jewish, who is in indentured servitude, you might say. This is a good opportunity for me to talk about this. So, slavery. Slavery is, it used to be slavery was above, like out in the open. And it was a worldwide thing for thousands of years. Nowadays, we've outlawed it in most countries. You're not allowed to, at least you're not supposed to have slaves, and so that is definitely not a good practice, but it's hidden situation for those in there, and we should do everything we can to help them and to stop that from taking place. But all right, so thousands of years ago, when these laws were enforced as part of the society, the society of that the Bible laid out. These were very progressive rules, and so how did you end up in slavery in these days? There were various ways that you would end up in slavery, at least in a primarily you ended up in slavery because you were in debt and you couldn't get out of debt, and so you became a slave for a maximum of 6 years. And so you should have hopefully paid off your debt in that amount of time. And so that's why I call it indentured servitude. People in America voluntarily as slaves who were doing so in order to earn their ability to even make the trip. At least that's my understanding. Obviously, the slavery that we specifically outlawed in the United States was not such a thing. A horrible situation where people were kidnapped, taken from their homes and their villages, their tribes, taken across to the other side of the world, never to see, their extended family ever again. Like there's so many horrible, and so that is not primarily people who could not make. Somebody popped in a little speaker here, so I just want to make sure if you can hear me or not. All right, so their pay off their debt, they voluntarily sold themselves into slavery, or a horrible situation where a father might sell his own children into slavery, and he's obviously not a probably not been in an upstanding guy. He's put himself into such a situation where he's willing to sell his own children into slavery, God forbid. Um, there's also the situation of someone who was a robber or a thief, and they stole, and so now the court put them into slavery as their punishment. That was one of the ways that you could end up in there. Another is if there was a hostile nation that was attacking the nation of or the tribes of Israel, and then they were defeated, and then essentially prisoners of war that then became slaves, and that was a common practice around the world in these days. Ultimately, one thing to note is the the laws that are laid out by Moses regarding bondsmen are so progressive compared to other nations, and ultimately led to the situation. World ultimately comes from the laws and the standards that are set in the Torah by Moses. All right, so positive mitzvah 232 is we're commanded to follow the rules outlined in the Torah regarding a Jewish bondsman in particular. All right, next is negative commandment 258, and this is not to sell a Jewish bondsman in a slave market, because it's like we're family. Jews don't sell Jews on a slave market. This comes from Leviticus 25:42, which says, "They shall not be sold as slaves." It's forbidden to sell a Jewish bondsman as slaves are sold on the auction block at a slave market. Rather, his services must be sold discreetly in a respectful manner. This prohibition also includes kidnapping and selling, which is punishable by death. Those are absolutely outlawed by the Torah. So one thing to note too, if someone sells themselves into slavery in order to pay off a debt, then he doesn't leave his whole family out in the rain, so to speak. The person who has acquired this servant, this Jewish servant, he has to also pay for the feeding of not just the servant, but also his wife and children as well. So, all right, negative commandment 259, ordering a Jewish bondsman to do unnecessary work. So Leviticus 25:43, the very next verse here says, "You shall not work him with rigor." So if you have if you're Jewish, you have a Jewish bondsman, you have a extra mitzvah here, to do work that has no purpose. You can't order him even to heat up a glass of water if you don't need it. Or you can't say, here's a shovel, dig up the yard, and there's no purpose to it, there's no end to it. You're just having him just do just you're just having him do work for absolutely no reason, and that is not showing him honor and respect as your fellow man. You're not loving your neighbor as yourself, and so therefore that is forbidden. You're not allowed to do denigrating treatment of a Jewish bondsman. So Leviticus 25:39 says, "You shall not work him as a slave." It's forbidden to order a Jewish bondsman to perform humiliating labor that's typically performed by slaves. Rather, he must be given only jobs that an employed worker would agree to do. So he's doing work that is not demeaning to him. All right. Leviticus 25:53 tells us, finally, negative commandment 260. This is a mitzvah that is related to the previous ones about not giving a Jewish bondsman unnecessary work. And so this is a situation where a Gentile master, somebody who's purchased a Jewish slave, that person then forces him to do unnecessary labor within the land of Israel under the like this Gentile is not, some Roman citizen or something like that. This is a citizen or a resident alien of the nation of Israel, and obviously these rules don't apply in the Israeli society today. So that person has submitted themselves to the government, but they've forsaken they're obedient to the laws that the Torah gives to Gentiles, to all, not just Gentiles, but to all people on the earth, and so he now he's a master of a Jewish bondsman, and he's a Jewish slave that is unnecessary, and that's forbidden. And it's forbidden from Leviticus 25:53, which says, "He shall not rule over him with rigor in your sight." So we're not allowed to allow a non-Jew who lives under Jewish jurisdiction to order a Jewish bondsman in his service to do unnecessary work while we watch. We may not say, since this Jew willingly allowed himself to be sold to this Gentile, it is not our concern what the Gentile compels him to do, rather as to what occurs in the privacy of his own home, where we cannot see what transpires. But if it's visible, that's not allowed. All right. Tomorrow, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more mitzvahs that we get to learn from. And so, with God's help, we'll be back tomorrow. And hopefully we all learned something good today. This is a difficult topic. These are laws that have been enforced for, thousands of years. And so we don't like, obviously, talking about some of these topics because they still sting us. There's a lot of controversy, or not even controversy. It's just it's an evil thing to lord it over another human being, and we're told that the ideal thing in the Bible is that we should not lord it over another human being. And you know what? We should also do another, and we end up, usually because of our own failings, our own human failings, we end up in those situations where we're indebted to someone else, and it's a heavy burden. So we should also not end up in those situations with God's help. All right, thanks so much for joining me. Have a great night, and be blessed. Bye bye.